Welcome to Real Takes. My name is Max Medlin.
My name is Riley Granson.
We're two best friends, also two film buffs with no formal cinematic or acting education. Really no way we should be talking about what we're talking about here, but we enjoy talking about movies. Riley has a deep knowledge of movies.
Yeah, I grew up with watching movies and just kind of falling in love with the art form of movies, and we decided that we kind of been talking about this for a while. We'll get to that in a minute as well, but we've been talking about doing a podcast, of just kind of two average dudes, kind of outsiders to the industry, talking about movies, giving our takes on things, maybe shedding some light on some new films maybe that you guys haven't seen, reviewing new releases when we can. We're both busy guys. We have full-time jobs, so we'll get some new releases in when we can. But yeah, man, I'm really excited to get going with this. It's our pilot episode, if you will.
There's gonna be a lot of mistakes.
There's probably gonna be
I'm sure I'm gonna curse. I've already fucked up a few times.
It's probably gonna sound poor. But you know what? We're just getting started.
We got two mics. Riley right now has got his mic sitting on a printer, sitting on a stool from the living room. I've got a door from a cabinet propped across the table with my mic on it.
We got a little bit of a janky setup going, but you know what? It's not perfect when you first start.
It's the American dream.
That's right. We're building something.
We'll break into Hollywood eventually. Yeah. We just got to get our name in the hat there.
That's right. Yeah.
It's probably going to be negative after we say all this bad stuff about everybody, but I'm kind of the same way Riley was. I enjoyed movies growing up, but Riley really pushed me at something we did together, and one day I was like, shit, I know a lot about movies. We should like talk about this. So I know a thing or two about movies. Riley knows a lot more. I'll usually come in swinging with the first thing that comes to mind, and Riley will usually tell me to pipe down, and that doesn't make sense or something. But hopefully you guys enjoy it. If not, we're just having fun. And I think we're a little different from most of the film podcasts out there, don't you, Riley?
Yeah, I think we definitely bring a unique take just because of that kind of outsider nature that we have with one another and not knowing a whole ton about how the inner workings of the industry. I mean, like I mentioned at the top, I read some books, and just watched a lot of movies. I've read up a lot of on film history and things like that. So I think that's definitely going to be what makes us unique, and hopefully,
we're pretty funny too.
Yeah, we're okay, guys.
We only tell the same high school stories like every time we hang out, so it's not too bad.
Exactly, yeah. So if you've ever hung out with us, you've heard probably the same 6-7 stories.
We got a friend named John. I have a feeling we're going to be referencing a lot through these podcasts. He's, the best way to describe him would just be hilarious. Just the things he does and the decisions he makes. He always gets upset at us for making fun of him, but I'm sure he's going to make his way into this podcast.
Yeah, he's a huge Star Wars guy. So we'll definitely if we're talking Star Wars, I know Solo's coming out in a couple weeks. Maybe we'll all have a chance to see it. Normally, Max and I aren't in the same room together. Today we are. Max lives about 13 hours away from where I live, so but he's in town.
Out in Montana.
Out in Montana, and I'm located here in northern Minnesota, where it's nice and cold. For everybody, it's
nice is a relative term.
Yeah, it's like 40 degrees here right now. It's May. It's ridiculous.
Fucking freezing. Yeah. Bullshit.
Stupid. Yeah. So
we're just gonna kind of jump in here. We kind of got a rough idea how we want this podcast to go, but it's the first one, so we're probably gonna be winging it. So hopefully you guys enjoy it.
Yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit about some news, different random movie news. Like I mentioned at the top, kind of reviewing some new releases. And then we're going to be picking a couple of movies for you guys to check out via streaming that maybe you haven't seen via Netflix. I know everybody's got Netflix and Amazon and Hulu, and all these streaming services are taking over. So, and even with iTunes, I mean, you can rent movies from, sitting on your couch. You just push a button on your Apple TV.
Yeah. I mean, who needs to go to the gym? Just pick up the remote, boom, you're watching a show. I know you've watched The Office 8 times, but there's some other good stuff out there, some good content.
Exactly.
Speaking of good content being out there, Brooklyn Nine-Nine has been renewed for an additional 13-episode season on NBC. Fox axed it. There's a huge outpouring of support, and all of a sudden NBC picked it up. I haven't seen it a lot, but my girlfriend watches it. I'll watch it when it's on. I think it's a funny show. I guess it hasn't captured my attention enough to actually sit down and binge watch it, but I think Sandberg's funny.
Yeah.
I think all the characters are funny.
Yeah,
it's a good show.
I'm like you. I've seen episodes kind of sparingly. Where like maybe it's on TV at night or something like that, or I think maybe over at my girlfriend's dad's. We watched a couple episodes one time. It's a funny show. I like Andy Samberg. It's got kind of that dry humor that
it's Andy
sitcoms
Samberg's humor.
Yeah,
which
for sure.
I think it's funny, and we all know Fox has a bad track record with their shows. So
I see a lot of network TV nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not taken off right out of the gate, but look at like Breaking Bad. Yeah. Breaking Bad wasn't a hit right away, but all of a sudden it's out streaming and one of the best shows ever. Once it got exposure, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's the big key. Is I'm not going to sit down at 7:00 and watch a TV show every Tuesday, but if it's popping up on Netflix, boom, I'll watch it. And I think that
got the DVR going.
Yeah, I think that leads to a lot of popularity for that stuff.
We should interject here real quick. We probably just confused everybody that's listening about. We're going to talk a little bit of TV too.
Do you really think people are listening?
We talked.
Sweet.
we mentioned at the top that we're big movie guys. We're also going to talk a little TV too. I think myself. I think you probably watch a little bit more TV than I do, but
mostly Family Guy reruns.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much all I watch. But yeah, I mean, like we've got some stuff, so we'll talk some TV stuff as well. But we thought we'd lead a little bit with this Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Just kind of what's hot right now. Yeah. The Infinity War director has hinted that it's possible Jane Foster might return for the next Avengers or the next Thor. What do you think about that?
I don't care. It's, like these news stories just kind of pop up and it's just like Jane Foster might show up. Or like we heard for like months that, or maybe not months, years. We heard for years that like maybe the Netflix series characters, the Jessica Jones and the Daredevils would pop in. And I'm not one, and we've talked about this in the past, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in some iteration of this, but I'm not a big speculation guy. I know a lot of people get into the speculation thing, like who may or may not appear. It really kind of wore me down with the Last Jedi last year. We mentioned our friend John. We would talk about speculation on what's going to happen with this, what's going to happen with that. I don't really subscribe to that. I just it's like just show me the movie.
Well, and I think too with that character, it's like okay, I'm a big continuity guy. She wasn't in the second Thor movie. Is like what the hell? But now,
she's in the second one.
Is
she's
she?
Not, she's
okay,
not in Ragnarok.
That's my bad.
She's not in
Thor.
Ragnarok.
Bad. But you're like, well, where is she? That that's pretty important. But now it's like, I don't really care.
But what's she doing? We're not gonna
Everybody's destroying the Earth. How many backstory characters are we gonna go into and explore? So I'm with you. That doesn't really excite me.
Yeah,
we're not gonna go care either way. I guess
we're not gonna go into super spoiler territory, but just I don't. Where does she fit in? Like, she just pops up and like
she's like still doing science stuff.
She's with Stellan Skarsgård or whatever, Dr. Selvig or whatever his name is. Yeah, she's hanging out in London or whatever. I don't care. It's
minor to me. Yeah, Natalie Portman's a great actress. Love Natalie Portman. Don't care if she's in the new movie.
Yeah, this next story is something I am excited.
Yeah, this one I kind of like. Yeah. There's been some rumors that Timothy Olyphant perhaps might be working with Quentin Tarantino on his new movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, this movie is going to have an amazing cast.
DiCaprio's in this one, isn't
it? DiCaprio. So it's DiCaprio and Brad Pitt. I think Margot Robbie's in it.
Thank you.
I've heard about Tom Cruise, maybe. I read some stories about that. The dude's a good actor, though. You got to give it to Tom Cruise.
He is a good actor. Side note, Riley's going to roll his eyes when I say this, but there's a documentary on Amazon Prime about Scientology. It's fantastic. All those people are fucking crazy. It's nuts. Travolta wants to get out, but they have dirt on him, so he can't. I think Tom Cruise is just actually in there. But side note, Scientology, watch it. I think it's, I don't know what it's called. It's on Amazon Prime. It's fantastic.
Early political takes on the show.
It's not really political.
It's also on HBO.
Fake religious
it's an HBO documentary.
But yeah, really good. Just on the Tom Cruise now.
But yeah, this film is shaping up to be something really interesting because I don't know how much you know about it or how much anybody that's going to listen to this knows about it. But basically, the film is going to follow the Manson family murders, and I don't know how in depth it's going to get in, but essentially, the kind of the plot synopsis is that DiCaprio is going to be playing like a kind of an not old, I guess, because he's obviously not an old dude, but like he's going to be playing a Western star, and Brad Pitt's his bodyguard, or not bodyguard. I'm sorry, his stuntman. I beg your pardon. Yep, and they live next to Sharon Tate, who obviously was very famous, involved in the
spoiler alert. She got murdered.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, that's we can read that on Wikipedia. That's not really a spoiler.
That's why they make the movie.
Yeah, but no. So nobody's cast as Charles Manson. I don't think Timothy Olyphant's gonna be playing Charles Manson.
I don't see him as a Charles Manson. I think you need somebody like Tom Hardy. I think maybe not Tom Hardy, but somebody that just has like that grit. I feel like.
Yeah, well, and they talked a little bit about the Quentin Tarantino usual suspects, if you will, the Tim Roth and Kurt Russell.
Probably Samuel L. Jackson. Will be
guys.
early
I'm sure
favorite
Samuel L.
for
Jackson
that.
will pop up in it. He seems to pop up in all of them.
He pops up in any movie that pays.
And who knows if he'll even, if he's even going to cast Charles Manson. There's some speculation that, it might just be one of those things.
It's like the backstory of it.
Yeah, like
perhaps,
in the background. And I don't know, I don't know if DiCaprio and Pitt's characters are based on anybody in reality. Obviously, Margot Robbie's character is. We just talked about that. But, yeah, I don't know. There was some other interesting news kind of coming with this was that, or at least interesting to me, Robert Richardson, who is one of Tarantino's longtime collaborators with the cinematography, was Robert Richardson is going to be shooting this movie, which is really cool. I like that idea, especially when you watch The Hateful Eight. We got to see The Hateful Eight in that 70 millimeter.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, that was awesome. It was like 3 years ago or something like that when that came out.
If you have a chance to see a movie, especially a Tarantino movie, in 70 millimeter,
they had the Ultra Panavision. Awesome. It was awesome. But yeah, I like the idea of Robert Richardson maybe shooting. Is it 50s and 60s? Is that when?
I want to say it was in the 50s, and it being a Tarantino
I think it was
movie.
60s though. Like I feel like it was later.
It's gonna be bloody.
Regardless, I like the idea.
It's gonna be bloody.
I like the idea of Robert Richardson shooting like 60s LA. Like the glitz and glamour of all
noir
that.
Almost.
Yeah, and that's kind of what they're pitching it as almost too, is like this noir type thing. But
and Sharon Tate was very famous. She was on top of the world at that point. When Manson ordered the murders to be carried out. Excuse me. Yeah, I think that's a fascinating premise for a movie if they cast it right, which I have faith Tarantino will.
Last thing on that too is they cast Burt Reynolds as well, and he's playing. I don't remember the name.
Burt Reynolds is still alive.
Burt Reynolds is still alive. He was just in a movie, I guess, recently.
Longest Yard 2.
Yeah. Nobody wants to see that. That might be Adam Sandler's next Netflix movie, probably.
I hope to God that's not.
But yeah, they cast Burt Reynolds in it as like a famous. I can't remember the guy's name right now. You might know. The guy that owned like the ranch that kind of he kept some of his cult followers there. I can't remember the guy's name.
And you can see our amateurism showing. If we were professionals, we would have looked all this shit up ahead of time.
Yeah.
But no, I know what you're talking about. I don't know what the dude's name is though.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool. Something else we've been hearing is that Annette Bening has been cast in Captain Marvel, which is a new movie from the Marvel Universe coming out. That's going to come out before the next Avengers movie. It looks really good. Tell me what you've been hearing about Annette Bening.
I don't know. I mean, we're talking like we're insiders. Like I'm hearing like the inside scoops.
What's the inside scoop?
I'm like,
you've
yeah,
been
I heard
hearing? Mark's like, what did you read on the internet that we can regurgitate?
Yeah, trust me, Minnesota is the farthest away from Hollywood. I mean, probably not geographically, but yeah, it's there's some speculation that she's going to end up playing Carol Danvers' mom, Marie Danvers, but who knows? I mean, Marvel does these all the time. They'll film parts of these movies and then they'll announce like a casting thing, and so she could be playing that. I don't know. I'm super excited. This movie has a great cast. Jude Law is in this. I don't know if you knew.
I did not know that. I love Jude Law though.
Jude Law's gonna be
extremely underrated in Side Effects.
Yeah, that's a great film.
Great film.
A quick addition to that. Obviously, this isn't our streaming picks. I don't even know if it is streaming. But if you haven't seen, so the directors of Captain Marvel, Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, I think are their names. Again, our amateurism showing. I should have looked that up. But they directed a movie called Mississippi Grind with Ben Mendelsohn and Ryan Reynolds. We were talking a little bit about that today, actually. If you haven't seen that movie, definitely find that and check it out.
Great, definitely a great movie.
Captain Marvel is going to be a big movie in this universe. With everything that's going on, and not to get too spoilery, but there's a little bit of a tease of that at the end of Infinity War, and
I would say, and Riley, you might know this better than me, but I would say, based on the pure casting at the beginning, before we knew how their careers were going to take off, I would say Brie Larson is probably one of the better actors or actresses to be cast in a Marvel movie, at the beginning of however you want to articulate it before there. Like Robert Downey Jr. wasn't as famous of an actor as he is now, I don't think, before Iron Man took off. At least to me, whereas Brie Larson's established, an Academy Award winner. She's an established actress. She's a badass. She is a really, really good actress. And I think that brings a lot more to the table in these movies, having somebody like that, not just picking some guys and, man, I hope their career takes off here.
Yeah.
But, she's a fantastic actress.
Yeah, and going back to Annette Bening, too, I mean, she's a 4-time Academy Award nominee.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, she's amazing. So, and that's kind of why they've been successful, is just them taking these really great actors and putting them in these roles. And
I think they've got the clout now. I think maybe before it's like, hey, do you want to be Iron Man? Like, no, I don't want to dress up as in a costume and zoom around. But it's like, now, do you want to be a part of the Marvel Universe? You're like, yeah, absolutely. Sign me up. I want the money. I want the fame. I want the fans. Marvel and superhero movies are a really good gig for people now because of the success they've had and the brilliant filmmaking they've done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also hearing some buzz out of the Cannes Film Festival. I'm hearing we got some new indie films that are sneaking in that are starting to get some attention.
Yeah, there's some acquisitions coming out that I've read about. I know Bleecker Street just picked up a Mads Mikkelsen movie. If you don't know who Mads Mikkelsen is, he is plays Le Chiffre or whatever his name is in Casino Royale.
Le Chiffre.
Yeah, Le Chiffre. He's in a movie called Arctic that just got picked up by Bleecker Street. Neon, who just found success distributing with I, Tonya. They picked up a film called Border. So really just kind of a lot of acquisitions. So there's a lot of buzz about a film called Cold War. I don't know much about it. It's from a foreign director. And this is something we also should have done a little bit more research too. Jessica Chastain also was in a movie at Cannes.
Fantastic actress.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's called 355, and it sparked a bidding war, and Universal ended up coming out of that with an 8-figure deal for that. I think the most interesting thing is, I don't know if you heard about this, but there was some controversy a couple of months ago when Netflix was banned from Cannes. Cannes did not allow Netflix films to.
I didn't hear that. Why was
participate. That? I think it's the streaming service bias. Streaming's the way of the future. We hear about all these different directors who are kind of this, resisting the streaming. I'm not going to say they're right or wrong. There's some guys that I think there's valid points on both sides. And we're not going to get into the depths of that conversation. We can maybe save that for another time. But Netflix just paid a ridiculous amount for an animated film called Next Gen. They paid $30 million for this movie.
Wow.
And they picked up the worldwide distribution rights. China excluded from that. So
does China ever get to see any of our movies uncensored?
They might not. I don't know. But yeah, so Netflix is kind of making some noise. I mean, they're kind of pushing back, saying, you know what, well, we're just going to show up and make some deals. And I don't know how that all works. I don't know the politics of it all. I don't know if there's if Cannes people get. I would imagine they don't get anything. I imagine they're just a society.
I can't imagine Cannes would be that pretentious, considering all their movies are generally not large studio, large distribution movies for the most part.
Yeah,
I don't know why they would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with the Cannes Film Festival, it takes place in Cannes, France.
Everyone
every year
gets fucked up and watches movies.
They give out an award, the Palme d'Or. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but you never know. And a lot of times it's usually not American studio films that come out of that. It's a lot of foreign.
Which is good. There's a lot of foreign language films that are really good that unfortunately don't get a lot of distribution in the United States. And kind of segueing on that, if you have an opportunity to, I don't know, like Duluth has the cinema. You can go grab a beer, watch a movie. I know out in Montana we also have an art house pub. Watch these films. Because the more of these films that get more popular and gain more traction, the less you're going to see of like Amy Schumer and Melissa McCarthy, which is going to be good for everybody. Because those are movies everybody sees. They always suck, and all these movies get buried just because nobody sees them because they get a low distribution and they get forgotten about. But there's a lot of really, really good movies out there. So I would just encourage everybody to go see them. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck with Transformers 8, Michael Bay's Revenge.
Yeah, I don't know, man. People spoke with their wallets about Transformers, man. It didn't make as much money the last time. I don't know. They're making that Bumblebee thing that's coming out later this year.
I'm a guy that I can appreciate a movie, the action movie. It's like going in, I'm going to see a lot of car crashes, a lot of this, bing, bang, boom. But Michael Bay, it's played out.
Yeah.
I don't care anymore. There's no, I got a lot of explosions, cool, but I want to see a little bit of a storyline.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Mark Wahlberg's a good actor, but I don't know. I thought Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox were good in the first one. I think that's the best one personally, and they screwed with it after that. And I liked Bumblebee, I liked Optimus Prime, and I haven't even seen the last couple ones. I don't want to go down that rabbit
Were
hole.
you like a
It's too
big Transformers
depressing.
like as a kid?
No,
Like,
I
did
mean
you
I
watch
wasn't.
any of
No, I
those?
wasn't a big fan, but I really liked the first movie. The second one was okay. The third one, unpopular opinion, I didn't think was that bad. I know you didn't like it.
Horrible.
I didn't think it was that bad. I thought there was a couple of cool scenes in there, but I mean that's a good example. I could watch it.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. I went in there and it was okay.
Did the third one have Megan Fox in it? Or
No,
although
they did have Rosie Huntington.
Yeah. That's
which for some ungodly reason is married to Jason Statham.
Wait, what? For real?
For real.
I did not know that.
Yeah, she is a good actress. She's gorgeous, and she's married to Jason Statham. Yeah. So I explained that to me.
I don't know.
That's good for him. Good for him, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she's in that one. I don't know. It's just Michael Bay needs to stop doing anything ever. I guess is the takeaway there.
Yeah, you got any other news things you want to bring up at all or anything?
No, I think that's all the headlines I got. I hope there's people still listening. I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll transition into our next segment then, if you will. Like we talked about at the top of the show, we're going to try and do some new release reviews. I've dabbled in reviewing movies on a website. I haven't done it in a while, like I mentioned at the top.
UpNorthMovies.com?
No, it's not. I moved away from that.
UpNorthMovies /web pages / back pages
/ index
.pornhub
.onion. No, it's I'll plug it too at the end. But if you want to check out any of my written stuff, I have a degree in journalism that I'm not using, so it's just kind of like you might as well.
He's got it right there. I've got the degree.
He literally
right
has
here.
it right there.
It actually says a Bachelor of Science.
Yeah.
So you're a scientist.
I'm a
scientist
of journalism. Is what it is.
It's from Superior, so I mean, I don't even know if this is real.
Yeah,
could be fake.
Could be fake. You never know.
They spelled his name right though, which they didn't do on his high school diploma, I believe.
No, not the high school diploma. The letter that I got for college athletics. The letter.
The bench warmer of the year.
Yeah, exactly. No, they spelled it. They spelled my name wrong.
The EFIS pitch.
But that's fine. It's cool. So yeah, we're gonna try to do some new releases. Moving on from the news, and so a couple new releases this weekend. I saw one of them. You didn't. I went last night. I saw Life of the Party, the new Melissa McCarthy movie.
Why?
Here's the thing. You can make fun of me all you want with going to see different movies, but you know what? The best case scenario that happens out of something is I see a good movie. Now, this is a different scenario.
Did you think you were going to see a good movie when you went to see that?
You never know. You do never know. I mean, we were talking about this earlier today. It has like a 41% on Rotten Tomatoes. That doesn't mean it's a bad movie. Super Troopers is like a 20%. So you never know what you're going to... And you know what? You shouldn't let a percentage decide what you're going to see and what you're not going to see.
I agree. However, I've seen Melissa McCarthy's other movies. She was fantastic in Bridesmaids, but
yes.
That's about it.
You know what? She's got a new one coming out that I'm excited for because she's actually...
Is this one where instead of going to college, she goes back to high school?
That's right. Yeah, it's the sequel to Life of the Party. It's called Time Travel. No, I don't know. But anyway, so she's got a movie coming out called, I think it's called Can You Ever Forgive Me? And she plays...
No, I can't. Not for her acting.
Yeah, not for her acting.
These jokes right
Well,
themselves.
you know what? Let's dive into to Life of the Party a little bit. So it's another team up with her husband, Ben Falcone, who directs the film. He also has a bit part in it. He also co-wrote the movie with Melissa McCarthy. And it also stars Maya Rudolph, Matt Walsh. Julie Bowen pops up in this, which I'll always remember. A lot of people will remember her as the mom from Modern Family, but she is the love interest in Happy Gilmore, which a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah, I guess now that you say that, now that I think of her, I guess I never even thought of that.
Yeah. What is it? It's not what the heck's her name? I can't. Anyway.
I don't know, blonde PGA professional.
It also stars Gillian Jacobs and Chris Parnell and Molly Gordon, who has a couple of TV credits, plays McCarthy's daughter. And if you don't know about the movie, basically... Life of the Party is about Melissa McCarthy is a mom who ends up getting divorced from her husband, played by Matt Walsh, who I love, but he kind of shows up every once in a while in this movie. And he kind of dumps her for a younger, maybe not younger, but more attractive looking real estate agent, trying to upgrade his life or whatever. And they drop this all happens when they're dropping their daughter off for her senior year of college. And she kind of goes home and Melissa McCarthy's character never finished college. And so, like any current Melissa McCarthy comedy, you know what's happening. She goes back to college, like hangs out with the
hilarity ensues.
It's
I bet they're up to some wacky hijinks.
It's a whole thing. And I'm going to be honest with you. This is not terrible. It's you watch Identity Thief or like Tammy. I don't know if you've seen Tammy or any of these movies. Like Tammy's got some weird dramatic undertones, right? That doesn't make it. But like Identity Thief is really bad.
It feels to me, and I haven't seen this movie. It feels to me like it's the bad version of Neighbors.
I don't know. Well, in Neighbors, they don't go back to college though. I mean,
they're
just
with college kids,
and
they're doing stuff with college kids. I feel like this is like Melissa McCarthy trying to interact with the college kids, but it's just like not as funny. Like I bet, is there a scene where she bangs one of the college kids?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, there's one. Let's see does she go to a party and do a keg stand?
You know what? I don't want to spoil the movie.
I don't think you're spoiling it for anybody.
I
already guessed two pivotal scenes, and I haven't even seen it.
You know what? There's an audience for these movies. And if they wouldn't make these films if there wasn't an audience for them. I
guess they made the Twilight movies, but
it's true. But there was an audience for that. I mean, there's built-in audiences.
How many people were in the theater when you saw it?
It was pretty full, actually. It was a Friday night too, so that helps. But yeah, this one isn't terrible. There's some jokes that are bad. It kind of picks up steam as it goes a little bit, gets into the more of the college stuff. A lot of the stuff actually where she's sleeping with the college kid works because of the interplay between. A lot of what's good about this movie isn't Melissa McCarthy. It's a lot of the supporting cast. Jillian Jacobs in particular has a really really great bit in this movie. Involving a coma and all this other stuff. It doesn't sound funny. I realize that the way I describe it.
I love comas. They're so fucking funny.
No, but Jillian
Imagine
Jacobs,
these people thinking of shit and they can't say it out loud. Oh my god.
Well, she's not in a coma in the movie.
No, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Well,
wait, Jillian Jacobs or Melissa McCarthy?
Jillian Jacobs.
I wish
I'm sorry,
Melissa McCarthy would have been in a coma.
But she basically was in a coma throughout this entire movie. Anyway. But yeah, so. She really steals the show. She's really funny. She has these, Jillian Jacobs has this really, deadpan.
She's a good actress. I like her.
I wasn't really familiar with her, but she's in
Workaholics.
Is she okay? Wait, no.
Yeah, she's the same one from Channing Tatum and.
No, 22 Jump Street.
Yeah.
No, not her. It's a different girl.
Shit.
Yeah.
Fucking amateurs.
I don't know if it warranted that reaction, but yeah, no, she's great. But There's some, like I mentioned, there's some jokes that hit, there's some jokes that don't. There's a whole long extended scene where she has a panic attack delivering a speech in a class, right? Like we all feared like oral presentations, and it's kind of like a cheap, haha. Everybody hates oral presentations.
You fear oral presentations.
They make a joke about that actually, like they kind of play off that, which I thought was kind of funny.
I got to jump in here with a quick story. This isn't really fun, I guess, for me, but. I was in my public speaking class in high school.
Yeah.
Okay. And one day the teacher, I won't name her name, but she looked like like a witch crossed with a troll. And she wore this skirt one day I couldn't tell you why she wore the skirt. Well, so I don't know if it was the guys or the girls or they were having a competition to see who could like put their leg higher on the desk. And I don't know what was going on, but all I remember looking. She's like, I can do that too. I'm flexible. She puts her leg up on the desk, fucking not wearing any panties.
What?
Just fucking.
I remember this.
It was disgusting.
I remember hearing about this.
I don't know how no one was called. I believe Rhea like threw up and got ill.
Yeah.
Like it was. I don't know the intended audience of our show, so I guess I won't go into.
Yeah. No, we won't.
Any more details? That was pretty gross.
But anyway,
for people out
transitioning
there. But,
away from that.
Yeah, I mean, I am scared of oral presentations because of that.
Yeah. But yeah, so like I mean, and Chris Parnell plays her professor. Here's the other thing that's kind of weird about this movie is like they'll make they'll make jokes and then like the characters will make jokes later in the movie that reference those jokes, and it's almost like they don't know what they're talking about. I don't know how to explain it in a way because again, I don't want to ruin because there's still audiences for this movie that are going to see it, and I don't know when this podcast is going to go up, but there's still somebody that's like I'm not going to check it out in the theaters or whatever. But yeah, so I mean, there's jokes like that, and like
are there fart jokes in the movie?
Not really. Okay. I wish I was a little bit surprised.
A little more mature. Okay.
But yeah, like and like the other thing that's like so weird about the movie is like. So she goes back to college, and like you could pick, any kind of major, but I feel like they just tried to pick like the major that was the funniest.
Was it sexual history?
No, it's archaeology.
Oh.
Like, and they like
It's
makes
not
it. She's
sexy.
like, I'm gonna be Indiana Jones. Like, doesn't make any sense. Like, why archaeology? Like, you could have thought of a lot funnier. You know, like I feel like there's probably fun, but I feel like they just went for like the pure joke. Like, oh, I'm going to school to be an archaeology major. It's like,
why
no.
is archaeology funny?
I don't know. It just, you know, like
That's a serious profession. You ever
But
seen
they don't-
You ever seen Indiana Jones?
But here's my thing, right? How many archaeologists do you know? Do you know any archaeologists? Do you know?
You know what?
Yeah.
I don't know any archaeologists,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I don't live in Egypt.
So she's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna reclaim this dream from 20 years ago. That's archaeology. Come on.
It's
Anyway,
a legitimate profession.
It's maybe. Sorry, if there's any archaeologists listening, we're sorry. We don't mean to offend you.
If there's any archaeologists listening, I will be shocked.
yeah,
Shocked.
send us an email. But no, there's just a lot of recycled humor from previous, Melissa McCarthy and Ben Falcone films.
So basically, it's just a cash grab. They know people are going to come to see it. There's some funny jokes, but it's kind of meh.
It's cookie cutter, but it's harmless. It's harmless fun. I think if you like Melissa McCarthy, you'll have a good time with it.
Entertaining.
Yeah. So
Final question.
yeah, go ahead.
Would you see it again or not?
No, I think I've seen.
What
it.
would you rate it?
So what we'll do here on our podcast, we came up. Max and I came up with this rating system of we'll do see it if it's something that you need to see. Obviously, these are reviews for movies in theaters. We'll do see it if you need to see it, which means rush out. Absolutely go pay.
Get out the door now.
Yeah. We'll also say if rent it, which is basically a term for. Maybe check it out as a matinee. If you got Movie Pass, maybe check it out with Movie Pass.
We know you guys don't have anything going on. You can rent it whenever you want.
Or wait till it comes out on digital.
Monday afternoon at 3 p.m. We know you're free.
That's
just
right.
rent it.
There you go. And skip it will just mean don't see it at all. I'll give it I'll give it 2 ratings. So like I mentioned, I'll give it for Melissa McCarthy fans. I'll say see it because they'll get a kick out of it. They'll enjoy it. They'll make its money and they'll keep making more of these. And everyone else, I would say it's worth a rent. It's worth a watch. It's a funny comedy. If
watch
you
with
need
your girlfriend or something.
Yeah, if you need a little date night movie, or if you're just hanging out, need something in the background.
50 Shades of Grey and stuff.
I think it's definitely not like Identity Thief. Like with Identity Thief, I would say skip that movie. Don't ever see that movie. But yeah, I would say rent it. I'm okay. The last thing I'll say about this is I'm okay with her doing these movies as long as she's doing these other films like this Can You Ever Forgive Me film where she actually looks like she's gonna flex her spread her wings a little bit with some dramatic material. So I'm cool with her making these movies if she wants to make, because these have an audience. So
coming soon, Bridesmaids 2.
Probably.
Guess who's engaged now?
Oh, one other thing. Maya Rudolph is really funny in this movie. She's really funny in everything.
She is
so
funny
I just
in
wanted to
general,
point out she
Maya
is
Rudolph is
hysterical in this movie.
So
you want to introduce our next segment?
I'm going to introduce our next segment. This part where we're actually going to talk about good movies. This is the streaming pick of the week. There's so much out there on Netflix, on Hulu, on Amazon Prime, on everything. There's so much content out there. Everybody's been guilty of it. You're like, oh, we're going to watch a new show, and then 3 hours later you're rewatching The Office, which is hilarious. I will rewatch Family Guy all the time. But
I've never seen The Office.
You've never seen The
No,
Office?
I can't get into it.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's like that's the deadpan
Bears
humor.
beats Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, like the dry humor in that.
It's not dry humor. It's hilarious.
I'll have to give it another shot. I'll give it.
Yeah, you have to watch The Office. It's funny. Yeah. It's really funny.
I like everybody involved.
Steve Carell's awesome.
Yeah, he's fun. I like everybody involved.
Mindy Kaling's career.
Yeah. Mindy Kaling still has.
She's the Life of Mindy or Mindy Project, whatever the fuck it's called.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So 6 seasons. I got picked up on streaming for 3 more seasons.
She's great in Inside Out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, she is.
Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
So my pick, I was a little behind on seeing this. This came out a few years ago. It's called Wind River. It's on Netflix. A fantastic movie. Stars Jeremy Renner as Corey Lambert. And Jeremy Renner, I think you'll agree, Riley, he's super underrated as an actor. Yeah. Even though he has 2 Oscar nominations for The Hurt Locker and for The Town. He's in The Avengers, obviously. He's Hawkeye. Fantastic actor. I think he's super underrated, though. He's a really good actor, but people don't think of Jeremy Renner.
Yeah.
He's great. Elizabeth Olsen is in there as Agent Jane Banner. She's the more talented sister of the Olsen sisters. Ashley and...
is Mary Kate?
Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. Yeah, she's, in my eyes, way more talented than they are. She's a legitimate actress. She's also Scarlet Witch in the Avengers series. Really good in that. but she plays an FBI agent that comes in. She's really good. And also kind of the dark horse of this movie, Graham Greene as Ben. Great performance. He's most well known for being Chief Kicking Horse in Dances with Wolves. Fantastic movie. But he plays the tribal chief sheriff, if you will, that helps him investigate it. He gives a great performance. He's somebody you recognize but probably cannot name. Basically, Wind River is there's the Wind River Indian Reservation, and Jeremy Renner's character Corey, he's a conservation officer. He's out there hunting coyotes and tracking down some mountain lions. And without going into too much detail, basically he's lost his daughter, and he's divorced from his wife, who's Native American. She's from the Wind River Reservation. He takes their son out, shows him around to the grandparents' house on the Wind River Reservation. And for the grandfather, he goes out and he's going to kill a mountain lion that's been killing their cattle. He goes out there, he sees some blood in the snow, and he finds a body. And from there, Agent Jane Banner comes in from the FBI, takes over. And I think they play off each other well without being sappy.
Right.
Because, she wants to do everything by the book. She's the fresh-faced FBI agent. She wants to do things by the book. He's kind of the grizzled old outdoorsman. And, he kind of shows her how tracking works, and he's kind of ahead of everything, which I think in a way can get a little bit cheesy when he talks about, the tracking and stuff. But I think overall they play really well off themselves, and there's definitely I don't know if I would say it's a surprise twist, but I think it...
Well, let's not spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil it, but I think the way they do that, it's not insulting to the viewer. I think a lot of times the plot twist is like insulting to the viewer. But this is it's and I mean insulting, like, we saw that coming from a mile away.
There's
That's
a lot
not
of really
shock.
bad plot twists, no doubt. This is definitely not one of them.
Right, and I think the the plot shifts really based off the actions of a minor character. I don't know if you remember that scene or not, but it shifts off of a minor character and really kind of throws you for a loop, and it kind of makes you think about everything. And overall, I think it's a fantastic film. It's got a really good message about Native American women and the human trafficking of all different races and everything. Native American women are the only one that they do not keep statistics of missing women and human trafficked Native American women, and it has a big effect on this movie and kind of how the reservation treats it and Native American culture versus, I guess I don't know the politically correct term, but just white Americans and that kind of stuff. And I think it's a fantastic movie. I think it's underrated. It kind of got lost in the shuffle when it came out.
Yeah, for sure it did.
And I think, Riley, you said you was on your top 10 list?
It was really close. Last year was a really good year, and this movie is certainly no slouch. But yeah, it was really close. But this was one of those movies, man, that just, you're right, it got lost kind of in the shuffle of... It came out in August of last year, and we all know that, the preferable Oscar bait type thing. And, by no means do we, Max and I value the Oscars. I like following it. I do tend to find that they do nominate a lot of great films. This one just kind of ended up slipping through the cracks. It was distributed by the Weinstein Company, so could have been involved with everything that happened there
Harvey scandal,
late last year. Yeah, so I think that could have been a factor. But yeah, man, this is a great film. It's directed by Taylor Sheridan, who wrote both Sicario and Hell or High Water,
which are fantastic movies, both of them.
Yeah, and what kind of bouncing off of what you said about the cheesiness of him using the lingo and everything, I think it works because I think if you've seen Sicario or you've seen Hell or High Water, Taylor Sheridan loves to ground his movies in reality. I mean, you go into Sicario, there's no happy ending in Sicario. It's just this is the situation. This is what happens. And in that regard too, this movie is set in a very unique setting. This is you mentioned a little bit about this. This is a portion of the population you don't get to see very often on film. And when you do, and in the past, it's always been a little bit, cartoonish, right? Maybe not Dances with Wolves, but we've seen some other films about Native Americans, involved or Native American involved films that come off as a little not PC.
And I think this is, and I don't know if I'd call it groundbreaking, but you at the beginning, you see things on the reservation, and you're like, okay, yeah, same old stuff. I've seen that before. But by the end of the movie, you're sitting there going, wow, I never realized that's what goes on. That's what people are facing. That's what it gives a real I guess, a real emotion to all that stuff. It doesn't feel fake. You really feel like that. And then you realize that this is actually, the movie's obviously fiction, but this is not that far-fetched when you really think about it.
No, for sure. And I like one of the things I like a lot about this film, obviously aside from Jeremy Renner's performance. By the way, when you were talking about all the different films, if you haven't seen The House, it's kind of a throwaway Will Ferrell, Amy Poehler comedy that came out last year. He's got a great cameo in that movie, which I would definitely recommend checking out because that movie's funnier than a lot of people thought. But regardless, getting back to Wind River, what I love a lot about this movie, it kind of coincides with Jeremy Renner's performance, because this is a guy that, he's broken, right? He's lost his daughter.
And you find more about this as the movie goes on. It doesn't reveal itself to you right away.
Yeah.
You kind of grow with the character as you find really the depth of his pain.
Yeah. One of the things that I like I was just going to say, the emotional connection that he has to the case, I think, is what brings him involved, because it is involved of a missing daughter, and he feels this guy's pain, and a lot of that too. I mean, he's got a real emotional connection to it. I mean, you see it a couple of times throughout this quest. So,
and I think you look like with Taylor Sheridan, he likes to have, like you said, a character that's grounded in reality. And Corey Lambert, Renner's character, is a perfect example of that. As somebody that's been beaten down, he's grizzled, he knows the territory, he knows what he's doing, and he's very matter of fact, much like Benicio del Toro's character in Sicario.
Yeah,
it's matter of fact. I know what's going on. This is it. And people are learning from him. He's showing them how it is, and you really get to explore their character. Right. The character development's very strong.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because it goes along with that. These characters feel lived in, and by that I mean, like, they feel like you don't have to spend a lot of time explaining these characters' backstories, because you go into this film and you get it right away. Because they're so well
care
written.
For them.
Yeah. And because Taylor Sheridan fleshes out his character so well. I mean, you even look at a movie like Hell or High Water, where, like, that's a Western about a couple of bank robbers, but you believe it because these guys are fighting something. It feels real. They feel lived in.
Well, Elizabeth Olsen's character, she comes in and she's the new FBI agent, and
it's her best performance.
She's fantastic, and really quickly in the movie, you get a feel of just you empathize with her character as well, the position she's put in, and especially some of the different revelations she has. You really begin to feel for her as part of the overall arc of the movie, and kind of how everything is connected. Yeah,
and John Bernthal's in the film as well. He's great as always. And I wanted to give a shout out too, because I think this is always interesting. The DP on this movie, director of photography, is Ben Richardson. And this movie is gorgeous to look at. It has great vistas.
Yeah, very visually stunning.
You really feel it feels visceral, because you feel the bleakness of this. This
it feels
area.
hopeless. It feels hopeless.
And the setting almost becomes a character in itself because of that, right? Because it feels like there's no hope. I mean, you see the various characters that they run into, and it's just like, well,
cinematography is very well done in this movie.
Yeah, it's terrific. But I find it interesting because he shot a lot of, like, comedies, and, like, he shot The Fault in Our Stars. So it's an interesting step for a cinematographer to take.
Is The Fault in Our Stars a comedy for you, Riley?
No, I said comedies and The Fault in Our Stars.
Dies of cancer in that movie.
Yeah, you got a listening problem.
So you got a fucking speaking problem. Or a carrying problem, I guess.
But no, yeah, you're right. This is a terrific movie. It's I don't even think it was nominated for anything at the Oscars. I feel like it should have been, though.
And
I mean, it's just
something else that's really, I guess, not really on my radar, but something that just occurred to me, especially with everything that's going on in Hollywood, is all the Native American parts were played by Native American actors,
right?
And gave all the and gave those guys more opportunity and fantastic performances all around. But it's good to see that a lot of movies we've seen, like Gods in Egypt or whatever that dumb movie was, these white dudes playing Egyptians, and all the Native American parts were filled by Native Americans. Which is the way it should be. It's authentic.
Yeah,
they didn't try to shoehorn somebody in there, and I think that's an underrated
that's
part of those movies too. I think.
Yeah,
is having authentic characters.
And not to go off on a whole separate kind of tangent, but these are the kind of movies that people need to go see, because this was a wide release. It made like $33 million worldwide. 2.9 here in the U.S. I'm sure it was released limited, but even so, that's a good weekend for a limited release. But, you know, these are the things that, like, you know, you hear a lot of. We have friends who, you know, aren't as big into movies as we are. You hear things like, oh, there's no originality in Hollywood. It's because you don't go see movies like these. These are the rare movies that you go see.
Screw you guys.
Yeah, you've never seen. I mean, you
just kidding.
You know, you can't think.
Please keep watching.
you haven't. You know, you don't see a lot of these types of movies that have these original stories and these really deep connections to these characters.
Going to these crappy movies just tells Hollywood to make more of these movies. That's what we want to see.
Yeah. Exactly. That's kind of my point. Is like, you know, go see these kind of movies.
And Wind River isn't the kind of movie that you have to think hard about and you have to, you know, put a lot of effort into watching it.
Yeah.
The storytelling is great. It comes to you. It's not one of those hoity-toity, you know, Aaron Sorkin movies where you really got to think about what's happening.
You think Aaron Sorkin is hoity-toity?
No, I don't. I take that back. I was just reading about something somebody said about him, and I've been upset about it. I'll get to that later. Yeah. No, I don't think Sorkin's hoity-toity, but you know what I mean. Where it's kind of pretentious and you got to think about it, and there's a twist here. That's not the case with this movie and these kind of movies. It's very well told. Storytelling's great. It comes to you. But go see these kind of movies because these types of movies are.
They're not rare, but they're just kind of, you know, they're just underseen. The trailer really kind of missold this movie. I don't know if you have watched any of the trailers for it, but the trailer kind of sold it as like this breakneck, like action thriller thing, and it's really not. It's kind of somewhere in between that Thinking Man's. I'd say it's more of a
drama.
Yeah.
Almost.
It's a drama. Yeah. There's action elements to it that are done really well.
Oh yeah, it's definitely more of a thriller than it's not an action movie. I wouldn't say at all.
I'm glad you picked this movie because I kind of want to rewatch it now. Because I didn't know it was on Netflix, but I haven't seen this since it was out in theaters last year, so I've seen this only one time.
It's
so
just
my
a movie that,
like
Sicario, is just solid. Yeah. You know, you can watch it multiple times just because it's solid.
You don't feel the weight of the themes and the content don't weigh down on you so much. You're like, ugh, I never want to watch. You know, it's like Schindler. I mean, I've watched Schindler's List multiple times, but you see a lot of people would be like, oh, the weight of that kind of, you know, brings me down. I don't want to watch that again. So but this is definitely not one of those movies. And I'm whatever Taylor Sheridan does this. I don't know if he's involved in the new Sicario movie that's coming out in June.
I don't believe he is.
He wrote it. I think he might.
Yeah, I think he wrote. I don't think he's directing.
I'll do a quick fact check there. But yeah, you know, I'm interested to see what happens with that too. So,
Sicario, what are they calling it now?
Sicario Day of the Soldado.
Day of the Soldado, that's right.
Honestly, it was Soldado at first, which I love. That's a great
they've changed the title a couple times.
And then it was like Sicario 2, Day of the Soldado.
I really like the first Sicario.
Yeah. Sicario's terrific. We might talk about that on
another episode. Yeah, Sicario's really well done. Benicio del Toro is a fantastic actor. Wasted in Star Wars.
Yeah,
wasted definitely. In Star Wars.
Taylor Sheridan is writing, or did write the script for Sicario: Day of the Soldado.
I'm disappointed to see Emily Blunt isn't in the new one.
What's that?
I'm disappointed to see Emily Blunt isn't in the new one.
You know what?
I understand why she's not. But.
Yeah, we will save that discussion for another.
Emily Blunt is a fantastic actress. A Quiet Place is a fantastic movie.
Yeah. How hyped up are you for this new Mary Poppins movie she's going to be in? You haven't seen the original, have you?
Have I seen Mary Poppins?
Yeah.
I saw Mary Poppins when I was a child.
Yeah. It's a great film.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got the context with, what's that movie called about the woman who created Mary Poppins?
Saving Mr. Banks.
Saving Mr. Banks, which was a really good movie.
Do you remember when we saw that? Do you remember what other movie we saw that day?
That was Double Feature Day, wasn't it?
We went and saw a double feature. We saw Wolf of Wall Street.
Was that there was a Wolf of Wall Street?
Two totally different films too.
Oh my god, so different.
It's like A and B, apples and oranges films for sure.
Oh yeah, got Wolf of Wall Street. Watch that forever.
Yeah, but yeah, Wind River. It's on Netflix. Definitely check it out.
Go watch it. Great movie if you're looking for just a cool action. I guess not action, but a thriller. Really good movie. Check it out.
Yeah. So my pick this week then was a film that I actually think we saw as well.
Yeah, we did. We saw it at the cinema, the small town cinema.
Yeah. By the way, if you're listening to this,
Thank you.
They're not paying us. They're not paying us. Obviously, this is our first episode. Go to the cinema.
They want their money back.
They play some great films at the cinema. Go to the cinema.
Big beers, cheap beers.
Are they cheap though? I don't.
Weed is allowed. They're very weed friendly.
We won't go there. So the movie I picked then for the streaming pick, which is also on Netflix, is called The Stanford Prison Experiment. So this movie is scary. One of those movies. This is one of those movies that nobody saw, right? Like I think I told you guys about it, and you were like, "Yeah, let's go check this out." And I was absolutely riveted by this movie.
It was frightening.
Is excellent. It's about, if you don't know,
psychologically, it was frightening.
It is. It's a real interesting character study on what people will do when they're kind of given free reign. To be sadistic and different things. So, I'll tell you a little bit about the film. It came out in 2015. Directed by Kyle
this
Patrick.
Is a true
Alvarez.
Story, by the way.
It is a true story. Yep. It's about a psychology study at Stanford University in 1971 by psychologist Philip Zimbardo, who in the movie is played by Billy Crudup, brilliantly as that. And essentially, what it is he took these people, these students, paid them, fed them, all this kind of stuff. And what's great about it is he kind of arbitrarily decides. Who's a guard and who's in the prison, and the inmates are played by various great character actors. Young character actor Ty Sheridan, who we just saw in Ready Player One. Ezra Miller, who's now he's the Flash, of course, in the Justice League films. But also Thomas Mann. I don't know if you saw Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, but he's from that film. And just kind of a various amount of characters. But what I love about this movie, Max, is that there's this. It's a coin flip. It's a coin flip that determines who's a guard and who's an inmate. So it just kind of points out that kind of arbitrary nature of almost of life. I mean, we're not going to get super deep into the themes of it or anything. But yeah, it's a coin flip. And then these guys, they come out. Huge shout out, by the way. He's also in a show on Showtime called I'm Dying Up Here. The best performance in the movie, hands down, is from Michael Angarano, who plays a super sadistic prison guard who they call John Wayne. I think it's something like that. Yeah, yep. He is excellent in this movie. He is absolutely terrifying. He fully dives 100% into this role, and he is great in the movie. Max, what did you think of the movie?
I thought the movie was fantastic, and it was terrifying because you see. I think you really compare it to the Nazis and the Nuremberg trials. Why'd you do this? Well, I was told to do it. Yeah. And I think that was a big basis in Zimbardo's thinking, and he wanted to see it in real life.
Yeah, they get crazy, and he lets them go.
Basically, he lets them go, and so he gives them free reign. And the prisoners, to me, the biggest surprise was that the prisoners at any time could say, "I'm done with this experiment. I'm leaving."
Yeah.
They could also apply for parole. I'd use in air quotes, fake parole to try to get out of there. And their paroles were all denied, and they would go back in there. And these are guys that are being physically abused, mentally abused, psychologically abused.
And the insane... Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but the insane twist of it all is they can leave whenever they want.
They can leave whenever they want, but they don't.
But it's so real, and it's portrayed so real... that they're terrified. Like one guy, he doesn't allow him to, wear his glasses or whatever, and the guy gets migraines, and like anybody, like if that were to happen today, I feel like anybody that would do that today would just be like, whatever, I'm, fuck this, I'm out of here. This is,
and that's the big thing is Zimbardo didn't give them any direction. So when prisoners started acting up, they started hosing them down. They sprayed them with fire extinguishers, and this was all on their own.
Yeah.
And then there's no difference. They're all college kids. It was all on their own, and the fact that they just took that power and abused all these people, and the people that were being abused just took it. There was about halfway through, the experiment lasted 6 days before Zimbardo's girlfriend finally convinced him to stop it.
Doesn't it feel so much longer in the movie though? 6 days. When you watch this film, you're like, man, these guys were in this forever.
They were so mentally destroyed.
6 days. That's what's so insane.
And these guys had long-lasting mental issues as a result of this. Some of them did. But halfway through, I think it was day 3, that a new prisoner came in, and he was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, he wasn't buying in.
Why are you beating these guys? And, he went on a hunger strike, and they started beating him, and just he
treats it like it's a game. And in some respect, it is a game.
It is.
But that credit goes to Michael Angarano again for being, I don't know what the character's name is. I know they call him John Wayne.
Yep.
He kind of takes like this inspiration of it's almost like a Cool Hand Luke even type thing.
Well, you can tell the kid that comes in, he is like, I'm my free will or whatever, and then they start beating the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And he changes.
Yeah.
And he complies. He conforms to what the guards are having him do.
Yeah, and one of the things that's there's a couple of really interesting things about this movie is like it's very self-contained, so it feels claustrophobic. I kind of mentioned how it feels like it's long, like the experiment lasted longer than 6 days because it's a claustrophobic in the sense that you feel that you're in there, and the way it's shot, and
you feel like you're in there. You feel like you're in there with them.
Yeah, it's a very visceral experience even for the viewer, which is a terrific way. I don't know what else Kyle Patrick Alvarez has done.
Christopher Archer was the name of Michael
the
and
character.
Garano's
Okay,
character.
Yeah. That sounds right. So, but yeah, Kyle Patrick Alvarez does an absolutely fantastic job directing this movie. I mean, it just feels the look of it. It even looks like it was shot in the 70s. You know what I mean? Like it has the grain and everything.
Yeah, it's a very gritty
kind
film.
Of bleak color palette that
it's
it
gritty.
shows. Yeah, and it's just a great film, man. And like Ezra Miller. Who I'm high and low on.
Yeah.
He's great in the movie. Ty Sheridan is great in the movie.
Ty Sheridan is really good.
And it's just a really, really fascinating film.
It's a fascinating study on the human psyche and the human mind about, look at mob mentality and all this kind of stuff, or the experiments where they had the person in the electric chair and the person on the other side pressing the button, and if they were told to, I think, 85% of the people went to the highest setting, even though to them, they were nearly killing the other person from what they were told, and they continued to do it. And I think it's very scary, especially in the climate we live in today, that really, as humans, we can be that easily manipulated.
Well, that's what's so interesting to me about it. I think the whole movie kind of revolves around Christopher Archer, the character. Because you see this and it's like he fully embodies this John Wayne personality.
He takes the power right away.
And he knows he has the power. So it's almost kind of a commentary of like what will people do when you give them, and it's, it wasn't intended to be this way, but what will happen when you give them unlimited power? And that's what happens in this movie. And I think it's just a fascinating, the real life subject matter aside, it's a fascinating character study on a purely, just a character level Michael Angarano, because it's such a well acted and well made film.
It makes you take a second and step back and think, well, look at the people in society that we give power to. Mm-hmm. Are these people abusing their power? Yeah. If they do, why? And I think forever the answer has been, well, they're jerks. They were bullies in school. But I think this movie opens the door to the fact that may not be true. You may not have someone that was a bully in school. They may not have been the big kid on campus, but they get this power, and it's like the pack mentality. All of a sudden, they're doing what everybody else is doing. And it's a vicious cycle. How do you get out of that cycle? I don't know. It just seems like that movie presents the question that, not everybody grows up inherently a jerk, inherently mean. I think it's thought provoking, if nothing else. It's like you said, it's a fascinating character study and a study on the human psyche. Yeah,
and I don't remember the exact dialogue of the scene, but there's this great scene where they bring in like a real con, right? Like a real ex-con of the parole hearings, and he basically just tells these guys like this ain't shit. Like you don't know, you got some guy bullying you, so what? So that's also a fascinating aspect of it. The other fascinating aspect about this, and then last thing, and then we can move on to our last segment here, is, and I don't mean to stereotype, but 1971. This is Stanford, right? This isn't like, this isn't.
This is an upper class
Ivy League school.
College, is what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
This is an Ivy League school.
There's a lot of
all these kids are likely very well off in life,
or their parents are well off, and so like they've never experienced this sort of torment before. So man, it's definitely an interesting film. So this one is also on Netflix. Again, it's called The Stanford Prison Experiment. It's directed by Kyle Patrick Alvarez, and of course, it has a great cast. So definitely check this one out. It's a quick movie too, man. It's got a great pacing to it.
It's got great pacing.
It's like 2 hours long, but you're drawn into it right from like the very beginning. There's great scenes in the end with the interviews with I won't give it away.
Yeah, in the end they interview each of the kids.
Yeah,
and you see things like, and it's not a spoiler, but like the guard will be talking with the prisoners.
Yeah.
Hey, man, wow, that was crazy. And the
Yeah.
prisoner basically is like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me.
Some of them.
What do you mean? I was just acting.
Yeah. Ezra Miller's character in particular was
Yeah.
like, we.
The guards tried to say, well, we were just playing our part, and the prisoners did not see it that way. It was real to them.
Yeah. Definitely, for sure. Yeah,
but
you got
a good movie. Wind River,
Yeah.
Stanford Prison Experiment.
You got anything else about either of the two movies you want to talk about?
No, I think we kind of covered it. Both fantastic movies. Hopefully, there's people still here.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
we're an hour in. So I mean, that's.
Are we an hour in?
man.
Holy shit! I thought this was like 20 minutes.
No, dude.
And we'd be done, man.
I know you're really looking forward to this next segment here.
I am.
Why don't you tell them a little bit about what we're doing here before you get into the content? Why don't you tell them a little bit about what we're doing?
So this is I'm gonna call this my cold take of the week. I want to talk about someone whose opinions are so stupid and so cold that it's beyond belief.
Yeah, and going along with that too, I'll also this week in particular I'll be giving a hot take to mean that here on Real Takes we thought we'd involve some kind of hot and cold take. We're not gonna maybe 1 week Max does a cold take, maybe 1 week I do it.
I'm not just cold the whole time.
Yeah. No, yeah, we're definitely gonna mix it up. So
my heart is.
I know you. Ever since we had, went full force, because we have been talking about this for a while. I think we've been talking about this for about a
Once
year.
we started talking about this, I started kind of paying closer attention to movie reviews.
Yeah, and I brought this subject up with you, actually.
Yep.
Yeah,
Riley turned me on to this. My subject today is a American film critic named Armand White. And he, without a doubt, in my mind, is one of the worst film critics around.
I don't think you're alone in that sentiment. I think you're right on.
Armand White writes for the National Review. He was the editor of something called City Arts. He was the lead film critic for the New York Press.
He's also written for several other publications.
Yes,
yeah.
and
he doesn't just review for the National
Review.
Review.
He's well traveled. He's well known.
Yeah.
And so I just want to kind of touch on a couple of his reviews. His reviews to me are so asinine. It ruins it. I mean, he's fucking asinine. I'm going to get into it, but you already know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
This guy is either the biggest troll or the biggest moron on the face of this planet. The stuff that comes out of this guy's mouth.
Do you think he's listening? Do you think he's going to listen to this podcast? Like he'll just
that'd be sweet.
We'll tag it with Armand.
We'll
White.
tag him, Armand White. He'll probably respond, and
he could be like the nicest
famous
guy ever. But he just
you know what? Yeah. You can say that, but when you get to some of the stuff I'm going to say, there's no way.
I'm certainly not trying to cover my bases. I'm in mostly agreement with what Max is saying here.
So first of all, just kind of going through some of my notes here to get quotes. He's very famous for hating great movies and loving terrible movies. First one he hates, Molly's Game. Jessica Chastain, fabulous movie. Great movie.
Yeah, it is. It's a wonderful film.
Great movie about a woman who was a famous skier, got hurt, ended up running the largest illegal poker game in United States history. Okay. He talks about Aaron Sorkin was the writer. We talked about it. I love Aaron Sorkin. Armand White says, Sorkin continues the preoccupation of his Lives of the Celebrities series that venerated Mark Zuckerberg, Billy Beane, Steve Jobs, and now Bloom, the main character, taking Hollywood's position of glorifying entrepreneurship. Because I guess that's a bad thing to glorify, being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Okay. This time, Sorkin adds feminist chutzpah. His next biography subject could be Oprah. So basically saying the only reason Sorkin did this film is because it's about a woman, and he wants to add some female leads, some female movies to his repertoire.
Well, let's be clear. I mean, I'm not defending him. Again, I'll let you do your thing here. Sorkin talked a lot about, in the press for this movie, and I don't know how much you follow, reading interviews or anything like that, talked a little bit about how the story kind of drew him in because of the father-daughter relationship kind of at the center of it. He has a daughter now. I know that was big for him. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to... So,
and that's his mildest take. So, The Shape of Water, which...
Oscar Best Picture winner.
Winner, yes. 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. He said, this mashup of alien and immigrant hardship in which lonely Elisa finds sexual release with a sea creature is pervy, ridiculous, and humorless. Won Best Picture. What is this guy watching?
Let's. I've seen The Shape of Water. I don't know if you have. The film is good. I don't love it by any stretch of the imagination.
I mean, he makes it sound like I open up Pornhub and here is The Shape of Water on the front page.
Yeah, right.
You know,
yeah. No, that's...
like they're just fucking going at it. Fucking Merman and his,
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That's, you know what? Hold on. Save your comments though, because I'm going to circle back to that.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'll save my comments.
These particular comments I'm reading, I have there's a reason I'm reading. Okay.
Sure.
So, I, Tonya, fantastic movie. Margot Robbie is fantastic in it. Okay, about Tonya Harding. Armand White says, every risible moment exposes the filmmaker's class, race, and gender contempt. It's camp on ice and the farthest thing from the gay sensibility that contemporary Hollywood sorely lacks. I guess I'm confused. What does gay sensibility have to do with Tonya Harding breaking Nancy Kerrigan's knee? How?
Yeah.
Okay. So think of that. Okay, so stupid take, basically. So I think one of his bigger sins, and I think Riley would agree, besides, Transformers 2 already explored the same plot to greater thrill and opulence. When Toy Story 3 emulates the suspense of Prison Break and horror films, it becomes fitfully amusing, but this humor depends on the recognition of worn-out toys, which is no different from those lousy Shrek gags.
Come on,
the Toy Story franchise isn't for children and adults, it's for non-thinking children and adults. When a movie is this formulaic, it's no longer a toy because it does all the work for you. It's a sap's story. This movie...
Come on, Armin. Don't be talking about Toy Story like that.
This movie had 100% on Rotten Tomatoes until Armand White gave it a negative review.
He's known for that. I believe, did he do it with Get Out, I think, probably?
He's done it with pretty much every movie.
I know Lady Bird was up there, but I don't think that was him that gave it the negative review. He's done this multiple times.
He's very famous for it. Two more quick things before I go into my big rant.
Yeah.
He said this about Transformers: The Last Night, which has 16% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Garbage movie.
Okay.
Garbage movie.
He loves Michael Bay, first of all.
Yeah, I bet he does.
But that's less important than the unique big screen spectacle Bay creates with an artistic vision of pop art and futuristic filmmaking. Transformers: The Last Night was fucking terrible. We talked about this already.
Movie made $1 billion.
It's terrible. It can make $1 billion. Doesn't make it a great movie. Okay?
I agree.
Last thing. Armand White is also quoted as saying, I do think it is fair to say that Roger Ebert destroyed film criticism. Armand White, you destroyed film criticism. Here's why I have a big problem with Armand White. Okay? So many people that are just like us, regular people, want to go see a movie, okay? We get on Rotten Tomatoes. We look. We say, oh, that movie has 50%. I don't want to see it, okay? People like Armand White review movies not for their content, but because they didn't make the movie the way Armand White wanted to make the movie. Okay, we talk about the gay sensibility. We talk about race. We talk about this and that. Michael Bay's a great filmmaker. What is ruining movie reviews and Rotten Tomatoes is people that are not reviewing the movies. They're watching the movies, and instead of saying, this is what was in the movie, this is how I'm grading what was in the movie, they're looking at it and saying, this was in the movie, but this is how I would have done it to make it better. Okay? That's disingenuous, and it's hurting everybody. Okay? Here's what the movie is. Here's what the filmmaker's vision was. Rate the movie based on what is in the movie, not what you would have done. Don't sit there and give I, Tonya, a negative rating and tell an average film fan like me you gave it a negative rating because it doesn't have gay sensibility. Gay sensibility has nothing to do with I, Tonya. How does that affect the movie? And you're sitting there telling me that Michael Bay has futuristic filmmaking skills? What future is that? Armageddon? When there's no other directors than Michael Bay, perhaps? Maybe that's the future he's talking about. I certainly don't know a future in which Michael Bay is a fantastic filmmaker. Do you, Riley?
No, I don't. And I'm not as hot on this subject as you are. I definitely think he has a lot of bad takes on movies. I certainly think, we're not saying he's not entitled to his opinion.
We're just saying his opinions are stupid and they're bad opinions.
And I think you hit the nail on the head, and it's kind of with me. It's like he either knows, regardless of what he's doing, he knows exactly what he's doing. If that makes sense. He's either the world's biggest troll, like you said, or he's just genuinely just doesn't like the mainstream movies. Either way, the guy is certainly entitled to his opinion. But it's the way that he goes about it, I think, is what I have.
The fact is that he's just such a blowhard about it. And it's a lot like the baseball writers of America, the Hall of Fame votes.
Yeah.
When those guys are not...
Sports.
Sports talk. When they're not voting honestly, when they're not voting right, he's not reviewing honestly, and he's skewing reviews for everybody. And in an era where everybody's go, 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 boom, what's the reviews on that? 50%. Probably not going to watch that. I'm probably not going to go see it in theaters if it's 50%.
And the other thing that you have to that I consider would be like, what he's not really contributing anything. And Toy Story 3, we've seen the boom of the Rotten Tomatoes era here in the last couple of years. He didn't back then. I know there was a little bit of uproar about the Rotten Tomatoes score, but it wasn't as big as it is now. So
and maybe not, but it's still big. It was the highest rated movie on Rotten Tomatoes.
It was, but Armond White is not.
It's a menace.
He is not putting a dent, let's say, in the box office of a lot of these movies. So, I mean, him saying that
might be
Get
true.
Out sucks, or Black Panther, I don't know what his thoughts are on Black Panther. And he doesn't always go against
But Armond White is not the only person that reviews like that, though. Look at the Christian Science Monitor. God wasn't present in this movie. I don't like it. That's not a review.
I don't know that I've ever read a review from the Christian Science Monitor.
They're not good.
I'd be willing to bet that it probably. I mean, there probably are.
They're slanted towards their audience, which is not what a reviewer should do.
But then let me ask you this question: why read reviews then?
To get a general consensus for how good the movie is.
And I agree with you that what he's doing is it's not wrong, but it's disingenuous, and it's a little bit narcissistic.
Yeah, it's disingenuous.
But why even read a review then? Why things like Rotten Tomatoes exist because, we look at a number, right? We've always looked at numbers. How many people, and I'm guilty of it, you're guilty of it, I'm sure too. Everybody that has read a movie review has scrolled to the bottom or only clicked on the link to look at the score, right?
I agree.
Let's say you clicked on Roger Ebert was the 4-star guy.
Mm-hmm.
You clicked on Roger Ebert's review. You see that he got 3.5 stars. You're like, okay, Roger Ebert likes it.
Carries a lot more weight.
I'm probably going to like it.
Yep.
He obviously has an audience, man. I mean, he's writing these reviews for somebody. So,
I feel bad for whoever's watching movies based off Armond White's recommendations.
So I guess
watching Transformers.
So this is a little bit of probably not a great discussion. I'm just not as hot on this as you. I'm not my vein. My blood doesn't get boiling as much over this.
I think it's just a narcissism
because I do think people should be able to think for themselves when they go see a film.
I agree. However, I think if you're going to be in a position where your review matters, and it affects the public's opinion, that you have a responsibility to be responsible with your review. I'm not the biggest fan of new country music.
Sure.
But if I was reviewing it, I wouldn't let that fact stand in my way. Be like, oh, I hate when the guitar twangs too much. That's a bad song. You got to be an honest reviewer. Don't review movies. Get a little blogger like us and talk into the void when no one's listening. I can shout at this microphone all I want. No one cares. He actually has an audience. He's actually doing damage with his reviews. Yeah. He's preying on
Is he though?
He's preying on the vulnerable part of America that would rather just look at a review and decide if they want to go to a movie than actually doing the research themselves.
Then why do they have? I don't know that I agree with that. I don't know that I agree with you on that respect. Again, content, yes, absolutely. I get what you're saying about Armond White, but my point, I guess, my counter argument to that would be, why even read reviews then? If you watch a trailer. Read about the movie.
There's a lot of movies that have good-looking trailers that suck.
But there's also a lot of movies...
And I'd rather weed that out before I go see a movie.
There's a lot of movies with good Rotten Tomatoes scores that I don't like. And there's a lot of movies with bad Rotten Tomatoes scores that I do like.
But
and there's
if you're going to hedge your bets, you have a better chance of seeing a good movie if it has a good review than you do of seeing a good movie that have a bad review. Movies like Super Troopers notwithstanding.
Personally, me, no. Because the way I look at it, we talked a little bit about this with the Life of the Party review. The worst thing, I guess not the worst thing, you know, you go see a movie like Life of the Party. Yes, was I super excited to see it? No. You know, am I over the Melissa McCarthy comedies? Yeah, I am. I'm a little bit fatigued with the Melissa McCarthy comedies. But, you know, what happens if you go to this, let's say you skip this movie, and maybe I see it eventually, and you enjoy it? You go out and you see a good movie, and you don't let a reviewer tell you what to think. So I think, again, and I'm sure you've got maybe a little bit more to talk about on this subject, but content-wise, yes, I agree with you. It's a narcissistic way to look at films. It's nitpicky. You know, we're seeing a lot of the nitpicky reviews. To me, nitpicks aren't critiques. Nitpicks to me are just, well, I don't like this.
Personal disagreements.
Yeah, personal disagreements. I agree with you to some extent that that's not a good way to review a film. But you know what? If he's looking at these movies and that's his objective or subjective lens, great. If that's the way he truly thinks, I'm not going to discount the guy's opinion. What I will discount.
You said Michael Bay was a futuristic filmmaker.
Well, you know, he's entitled to that opinion. Is all I'm saying.
He's entitled to it. Doesn't mean it's not a foolish opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. It's a foolish opinion to have.
I mean, John has a lot of opinions, but they don't hold a lot of weight.
So yeah, I'm just not as hot on this. You know, I'm not. My heat meter is not exploding off of this issue like yours.
It's just frustrating.
But
It's frustrating.
Yeah,
to see stuff like that. Like every good movie that I've seen, I think is good. That everybody else has seen and thinks is good, he thinks is bad for a stupid reason.
Yeah.
Okay, The Shape of Water is not about some pervy woman banging a fish. If that's what you get out of the movie, you are stupid.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. That's
Don't
a narrow-minded...
fucking at me on that one.
Yeah.
If that's what you got out of the movie, you're stupid.
And that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, you know, what I'm arguing is, you know, you're putting a lot more stock into his reviews than I think a lot of people probably do. And I think people put too much stock in reviews in general.
Well, I'm just saying overall,
because we just reviewed a
overall,
movie.
it's an epidemic. People that review movies like that are just narcissistic. Like, oh, I'm on Rotten Tomatoes. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry that has a keyboard.
Yeah,
you know, I don't know. I just think if you're gonna review stuff like that and it's gonna go to a national audience, be responsible. Yeah. Actually review it and do it service. Don't just, you know, abuse your power and go to all these early screenings and just shit on it for no reason.
That brings up an interesting topic though, because like, do you feel like movie critics are doing a service, or are they just kind of offering various viewpoints on taste? Because, you know, in the 330 million people in the United States, no one person thinks alike. But when it comes to movies, there's usually a majority or a minority on
I think you'd have better luck having each member of the test screening rate it, and that be the rating.
Yeah, but, you know, test screenings are dangerous too, though.
I agree.
Because, you know, especially for things like comic book movies, you know, you get some guy, and are you familiar with the way they do test screenings? I'm not super. Basically, they just pull people off the street. Like, hey, you want to see a movie? All right,
I agree.
Deadpool 2.
I'll agree with that. It is a slippery slope. I mean, I think the critics are doing a service. I don't know that it's critical to the film industry. I think
it's ruining the film industry. Which is ironic because we're sitting here reviewing movies.
Yeah, I mean, we're more discussing. And I agree. You know, you get a movie that's good, that is panned by critics, and less people are going to go see it. Okay, yeah, you're right. I don't disagree with that. I like being able to look at a movie and be like, oh, it's, you know, it looks pretty good. I'm going to go see that instead of just kind of throwing darts in the wind here and seeing what I'm going to go see, you know?
I think I'm
kind of lazy that way.
I think the best way to consume film criticism is find a couple of reviewers that you like and that your taste aligns with. Yes. Let's say it's Armin White. Let's say you didn't like The Shape of Water. Let's say you didn't read his reviews, you know, and if you want to go see the movie, go see the movie. If not, you don't, you know. But pick, you know, I think that's why I think Rotten Tomatoes is, because you're taking an aggregate. You know, you're not taking specific individuals. You're like, I always read Roger Ebert. You know, he was one of the best. You know, I found that my taste often aligned with his taste. You know, he liked a certain movie, I liked a certain movie. There were times where that clashed. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, or the exact movie, but I'm sure there was a couple of the comedies that we grew up watching. I know a lot of older people don't have the connection to Step Brothers, like we do, because it was just we grew up with that movie.
Right.
But let's say that's the movie that he gives a negative review to. I'm still gonna like that movie.
Yeah.
Because and a lot of times, we found now in this kind of new age of cinema that movie stars don't open movies anymore. Movie stars aren't the draw anymore. It's almost because of the price of a ticket, because of the price of what it costs to bring your family, and we don't have families. Usually it's just ourselves, or we're taking our girlfriends or whatever. But the cost of to bring a family to the theater, they're going to look at a Rotten Tomatoes score and be like, especially with animated films, you're going to see these lower tier animated films like that movie's got 36%. I'm gonna save our money. We'll go see Incredibles 2. When that comes out, because we know that's a brand that we trust and know because my kids have seen it. You know what I'm trying to say?
I'm not going to go see Mission Impossible because Tom Cruise is in it, which I think is what you're trying to say.
Correct.
It's more of the whole movie, the whole experience, not just, oh my God, Tom Cruise is in a movie, I better go see him. Tom Cruise and some no-name actors.
Yeah, and that's not to say that there aren't still
there's still star power.
I will watch anything Leonardo DiCaprio does. I will go see anything that Jessica Chastain does. I will go see anything that Brie Larson does. But it's just there isn't the draw anymore from these big movie stars. You look in the studio era of regardless of what you heard about the movie, you're going to see Spencer Tracy. Or you're going to see some of these golden age, Greg
coming this summer to the box office.
I think there's a lot of valid criticism to be found there, and that's a lot deeper discussion to be had. But we're just kind of rocking surface level here.
Sure, Armin White's probably gonna rip me a new one now.
Yeah, he's gonna go on Twitter and just be like, "That Max Medlin guy, is he on Twitter? I don't know."
Cool, plug the show.
Yeah.
That'd be sweet.
That'd be dope. Yeah, we get some views for sure. All right, so that was Max's cold take. So I have a hot take. This is going to be a little bit less heated, I think, and probably a little bit shorter. We got to probably get some wrapped up here.
Because you're enjoying your long car ride through North Dakota if you're still listening.
Yeah. Or wherever you're driving, or if you're like me and you listen to the podcast at work.
Should you be working?
So, I can multitask. There's it's just a lot of lifting and.
Riley's a teacher.
I am, yeah. No, I'm not. I'm not going to say where I work.
He's a sexual education teacher at an old folks home.
That may or may not be true. I'll let the anybody who's listening decide. I'll let the one listener decide. No,
call in if you think it's true.
I'll give you Max's personal phone number. So my hot take of the week. We touched a little bit on the Oscars earlier in the podcast. About how I don't put a lot of faith in a lot of stock in the Oscars. I do follow it because I do think they shed light on a lot of good films that nobody would go see. I don't know if a lot of people would have gone and saw The Shape of Water had it not won Best Picture. And we always see that kind of resurgence of box office.
People like to see what's acclaimed.
Yeah. Usually you see it happen with Spotlight, thankfully. See that movie, by the way. I can't believe you haven't seen Spotlight. That just blows my mind. Anyway, the acting raises in particular, there's so many performances. How do you narrow it down to 5? I'm cool with 5 because if you put it to 10, I think it dilutes it a little bit. But I'm cool with the 5. So who gets in, is seemingly there's usually a formula. You usually have every year you have your 3 or 4 guys.
I wish it was more transparent.
Yeah, I don't know that I wish it was though. I don't really care what what guy got 2 votes. I don't want it to be like the baseball hall. I just
Well, I don't necessarily mean like that, but I want to know what their process is. Because what got snubbed? There's big snubs every year.
They vote for I don't know, the best picture is a ranked ballot. But yeah, you're right. Regardless, the point I'm trying to make is there are snubs. And,
right.
There are winners that you think, maybe he shouldn't have won. Maybe she shouldn't have won.
They can't even announce the winners right anymore.
That's true. I will still contend that the best performance of last year was not even nominated, which is something I hope we'll talk about in the future. Robert Pattinson last year was terrific and Good Time.
Great movie.
If you haven't seen it, it's on Amazon. Hopefully we'll talk about it. So, long-winded take to get to this week's hot take. I've been a fan of Leonardo DiCaprio ever since, believe it or not, a lot of people have different entry points to DiCaprio's career. For me, it's Catch Me If You Can.
That's a great movie.
It is one of my top 5 favorite films of all time. Great Steven Spielberg movie, and I really had watched that, and obviously I don't have the mindset I had now. Like at 11, I wasn't like, oh man, this guy's gonna be a star. Like I wasn't. And so, you saw Titanic. That's a whole nother hot take that Max wants me to talk about, but I'm not going to.
Fantastic film.
It's not. I don't like it. It's not good.
God bless you, Celine.
We're not gonna. The song's okay.
Song's great.
I can get down with the song.
Song's great.
But Leonardo DiCaprio has been, he has been one of the most acclaimed actors of our time. He's been in some of the best films around. He's worked with some of the best directors. Everybody knows his reputation of working with Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg. He's worked with a lot of great directors.
And even some of his great movies are underrated. How many people remember Blood Diamond?
Blood Diamond's terrific. He's nominated for Blood Diamond.
Yeah, fantastic movie, but it's not a DiCaprio movie you think of.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You don't think about that at all. So he's nominated in '95, I think it was, for The Aviator. He's nominated. I'm sorry, The Aviator was 2004. He's nominated in '95 for What's Eating Gilbert Grape as a young man. He's nominated for The Aviator in 2004.
Great movie.
For Blood Diamond. We talked about that.
Blood Diamond.
Wolf of Wall Street. He's been nominated 5 times.
How he didn't win for Wolf of Wall Street's beyond me.
Right, I agree. So in 2015, DiCaprio gets a job working on the Alejandro González Iñárritu film, who had found success the year before with Birdman, which is also a terrific movie if you haven't seen that. He gets a job on this film called The Revenant, where he puts himself through personal hell. If you haven't seen the film, it's about a guy who survived in the wilderness, basically after being attacked by a bear and being left for dead. It's a terrific performance from DiCaprio. It's not his best performance. But he goes on to win an Academy Award for it, which is a whole nother probably segment of a podcast we'll talk about, is the lifetime achievement thing that the Oscars like to do, which I hate. Like Al Pacino winning for Scent of a Woman. That's a great film. He's fine in it. I don't know that it's his best performance.
Right.
But
I would say his performance was better than the overall movie.
In The Revenant?
In my opinion, yeah.
Yeah, I can.
Good movie, but
I can get down with it.
I haven't watched it since.
I've watched it once since, and it holds up to a second
really
viewing.
It's a solid movie. It's just, like we talked about earlier, it's not something
Yeah.
His performance is out of this world, no doubt.
So I was of the mindset that I was almost, because people predict Oscars. Max and I, we talk about Oscars from time to time, when that season rolls around in the winter. And I was positive, like 100% positive. We saw Django Unchained. I thought, man, this is finally going to be his Oscar. And it's not a leading role in Django Unchained.
You forget about him, that he's in Django. That was an awesome role.
It's one of his best.
His hand was literally cut with glass. He wiped that across Kerry Washington's face.
The dude doesn't even get nominated. Yeah. Christoph Waltz gets nominated.
Bullshit.
And he wins.
Christoph Waltz was
and he
good.
wins. He's fine in the movie.
He's fine.
He's fine in it. DiCaprio should have been his year, man. That was his Oscar.
Yep.
Christoph Waltz took his Oscar,
Wolf.
and he ran with it. Again in 2013, loses to Matthew McConaughey.
That was a great performance by McConaughey.
2015, Leonardo DiCaprio wins the Oscar for The Revenant. But the wrong man won that year.
Who do you think should have won?
My hot take of the week, not Mr. DiCaprio, who is my favorite actor to this day, Michael Fassbender.
Jobs.
In Steve Jobs. Aaron Sorkin, coincidentally another Aaron Sorkin film. This is a gripping, it's a fierce performance. He gives everything. It turns
Kate
Steve
Winslet's
Jobs
great in
into
that movie
this
too.
anti-hero. Almost, this American anti-hero of technology. It's like this guy
makes him real.
Yeah, he's a real dude, and Fassbender shows this wide range of emotion and ability to act in this film, and he's robbed of an Oscar. The best performance of the year doesn't win. And I think a lot of people thought he was going to win because there was some doubt in 2015 whether or not The Revenant would get that 2015 release or if they were going to push it into 2016. But
I think Fassbender could have won. I don't. To me, having having seen both movies, it wouldn't break my heart if either of them would have won. I think they were both fantastic performances. I would probably give the nod to DiCaprio just because of what he had to go through in that role physically with the shooting and how it turned out. And that was just, I don't know. Fassbender was really good as a character study, but I think DiCaprio just physically gave that movie his all. I mean, it's hard to top him falling down the stairs on Quaaludes in Wolf of Wall Street.
One of my favorite DiCaprio scenes of all time.
Him crawling inside of a cow or a horse carcass.
Yeah.
In real life, that was real.
Yeah. Eating bison liver.
Real bison liver.
And I get that aspect of it. But you could make the same argument. I mean, in of recent memory, obviously that he's put himself through more hell in that movie than anybody else. That whole shoot has its own problems of people.
Many people quit
and lawsuits coming out of that. But
yeah, they can only shoot a couple hours a day for those of you not familiar, because Inarritu wanted to shoot only in natural light.
Correct.
Manuel
Lubezki, who's a three-time Oscar winner for cinematography, him and Inarritu made that decision. They wanted to shoot in just natural light. Up in the middle of Canada,
up
where
in the Yukon, I
believe,
where
it's
you get 4 hours a day to shoot.
Yeah, no, I just think I think Fassbender's performance, he doesn't feel like he's acting. I think The Revenant was the first Leonardo DiCaprio performance where I really felt like you watch the movie and you're like, he's acting. Wolf of Wall Street, he doesn't.
That was natural.
Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like he's acting in that movie. It just feels like he's Jordan Belfort.
Yep.
I felt like he was doing everything he could to show us how much pain he's in, and all that kind of stuff. I have no doubt that DiCaprio will probably win another one before it's all said and done, or at least be nominated.
Devil in the White City.
But it seems like everybody's always, there's been a lot of buzz that movie's not going to happen. I know. He's doing this Tarantino thing, and then he's going to do this.
You know who else would be terrific as H.H. Holmes in that movie? Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy is one of those.
He would be very good.
He's terrific. You know what? I thought Tom Hardy is a better performance in The Revenant than.
Tom Hardy does have a very good. Was he nominated for anything in that movie?
He was nominated for supporting actor.
He was very good in that movie.
But anyway, back to Steve Jobs. I mean, the way Fassbender acts in this movie is it's a manic performance, but it's a great performance because he just draws you in. He demands your attention, and a lot of it has to do with his delivery of Sorkin's iconic dialogue. Sorkin has that real snappy kind of
in your face,
witty dialogue
where
he's just for sure. So to me, I
Fassbender was Sorkin.
Yeah, I think a lot of the reason he doesn't get the Oscar here, maybe he's outshined by his co-stars a little bit here. In Revenant, DiCaprio doesn't have a lot to play off of. He's not really ever on the screen with somebody for more than in the very beginning of the film. Of course, he's with his son, and he has limited interactions with Donald Gleason and Tom Hardy and Will Poulter and the rest of that camp. Yep. And then at the very end, you see that showdown with him and Tom Hardy, which is great. I mean, that's a great scene. That's a great sequence of events.
Absolutely.
But I think in this film, I almost like the way that Fassbender plays off of Kate Winslet more. And the guy who didn't get enough love for this film is Jeff Daniels. He's terrific in Steve Jobs. I think it's one of Jeff Daniels' best performances in film. I know he's done a lot of great TV stuff.
It was a good comeback role for Kate Winslet as well.
Yeah, she gets an Oscar nomination for this as well. Seth Rogen also really good in this movie. His kind of first attempt at a dramatic role. Yeah. So, personally, I think it's one of Fassbender's best performances. I think it is his best performance. There's probably some other movies that I haven't seen. I know a lot of people are high on Shame. I haven't seen that film. I have to check it out. But yeah, man.
I think it kind of comes back to our discussion earlier, though, about I guess it's really not fair to judge DiCaprio for anything but his performance in the movie, no matter what he put himself through. It should be about what the movie turned out as. Yeah. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Should it be Fassbender or DiCaprio? Who should have won? Is anyone still watching?
Yeah.
Listening?
We're listening. We're not live or anything, so I mean, it's not like people are like listening as we go, and we're not getting like live comments.
God, I hope people are still listening. That'd be sweet if somebody is still listening right now.
That would be dope. I see what you're saying. I see where you're going with that.
Yes. Hopefully we didn't ramble on too much.
Yeah. Well, you got anything else that you wanted to?
Oh boy, can we fit anything else in here? Oh no, probably not.
Yeah, we're.
No, we got there's stuff to go. Yeah. There's stuff to go drink. Holy shit, it's dark out.
Yeah, it's dark out.
Oh
man.
my,
we've been in here for a while.
Dear God.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it, man. That's guys. That's Real Takes, episode number 1. Max, why don't you tell the people where they can follow you online if they want to, if they've made it through this hour and a half.
Well, Riley, that's a fantastic looking question. Riley, I want to send that back to you. Where can they find us online?
We're probably going to upload this to YouTube. This episode will be on YouTube for sure. And we're kind of just going to start there and see where everything goes.
Realistically, most of you know us on a personal level.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, just shoot us a message.
Yeah, man. Most of us, but if you happen to stumble across this, on YouTube or what have you.
Apologize for my swearing.
You can go ahead. I'm on Twitter at Riley Granson. You can check out my movie review site, even though I haven't posted a lot of content on there. I think the last movie I reviewed on there was Gringo, the movie that came out in like March.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's not a good film. But if you want to check out my reviews, I have quite a few reviews up on. It's called screenloop.com/Pornhub. Yeah, not /Pornhub.
Oh, just kidding.
Yeah, no, it's Pornhub.com.
Oh, / up
dot
oh, okay.
screenloop.com.
That makes a lot more. That makes a lot more.
You got to use you got to get on the dark web.
Okay. Right.
No, it's just screenloop.com and on Twitter at Riley Granson.
I'll identify myself at a later date. You just contact Riley for now.
We'll put Max's Twitter handle in the YouTube.
I need more positive interactions on Twitter.
You bring it on yourself though. That's your fault.
People are so mean and dumb. People are dumb.
There's
There's a lot of dumb takes on Twitter.
You tempt them.
Talk about cold takes. There's a lot.
Follow us on Twitter if you want Max's dumb takes.
A lot of cold
He's
takes
talking
on
about
Twitter.
himself.
A lot of cold takes on Twitter.
Well,
thank you guys for listening. We had a fun. We had a lot of fun just kind of sitting here bullshitting.
It's late at night. We're
Riley's girlfriend's outside the door here. I'm sure she's been listening the whole time. She's probably already had a couple peanut butter root beer schnapps or whatever she drinks. She's like a child.
She's probably out there watching like Gilmore Girls or something like that.
She's getting ready for the Golden Girls pub crawl.
The Golden Girls marathon. She's out there. Yeah, telling us to shut the fuck up. Yeah, so we'll shut the fuck up.
She's 21 going on 85.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys.
Take care.